Welcome to Crafty Hints. I'm Chantel. I want to say a special thank you to all of my subscribers, and I hope if you haven't subscribed yet that you'll stick around as you've enjoyed what I brought you today. It's a special collab. She did what with Dollar Tree items? My special co-host is Jackie from Crafting in Mimi's World, and Zaina and Devin also joined us. We each chose 2 items from the Dollar Tree, as you can see them listed here, which made a total of 8 items. But go to the playlist below so that you can see what everyone made. Let's get started. Okay, I started out with this Waverly chalk paint, and I just gave this kind of a rough once over. I am not trying to make this perfectly smooth at all. Just a nice base coat. Then I took this adult size hula skirt, which was one of the items I needed to use. And I'm just taking those off. They just have slip knots, so you can just simply undo those and pull them off. And I just continued to do that until I got as many as I wanted. And I'm putting them in this cup of coffee. So I just put them in there, and that will give them a little bit of a darker color. So I'm using this as my dye. After it sat for about 15 to 30 minutes, somewhere in there, I squished it out in a paper towel. And as you can see, you want to just squeeze out all the extra first and then squeeze it in a paper towel. And then just pull it out nice and straight. I used a cookie sheet with some paper towels. Kind of looks like wheat fettuccine there or something. But yes, that's how I did it. And you can definitely see the difference. So now I'm going back over this with another coat. And if you drag your brush as the paint starts to set a little bit, you'll continue to get more of a texture. And so I did that going around a few times. Now I'm taking 2 pieces of this hula skirt and I'm attaching another piece to each end, so that when I run it around the base of this vase, I can continue to go round and round. This is going to give it that boho look that I'm looking for. I apologize, it's up just a little bit there, but I think I come right back into frame in just a second here. And I just used a lower temp glue gun here, and it held just fine. I just used the slightest amount. And I'm just trying to go evenly all the way around. And once I get to that first line, then I'm able to go just a little bit quicker. I just wanted to make sure that this all lined up nicely with the bottom. And now I can kind of speed up my process just a little bit. And round we go until you get up about as far as you want to. But didn't that coffee give this a nice tint? You could even do both colors if you wanted to intermix them. But that theme out there in the boho of the white and the brown, I just thought that this would work well. And in this, I'm using 2 items from my challenge items. I used the hula skirt and the vase all in one. So now I'm taking 2 pieces of that and I'm just tying it around the top, and I just make a knot. And I let that drape down just a little bit, kind of in a little bit of a V. And now I'm going to take a few beads. I got these at Walmart, I believe, but there are definitely some beads with these colors at the Dollar Tree. So There's some, I think, in the craft area and some sometimes over in the hair area. So after I get those on there, I'm just making a knot, but I'm keeping the loop open just a little bit. And I will take a piece of this raffia or grass and fold it over and just feed it through there so that I make this tassel just a little bit thicker. So that will end up giving me the 4 additional ends. And you could continue to add a few more if you wanted to. That first one didn't quite fold over right, so I grabbed another one. And just tightened up that knot, and so now you'll have 8 pieces instead of just the 4. Oh, did that turn out cute? Okay, with that list, one of the items was a frame. And so I took this long frame from the Dollar Tree. I took everything off of it and just went around the outer edge and painted that in ivory. And then I took these jumbo popsicle craft sticks and I just snipped those down. And I'm going to end up putting those in the back. I thought that I was going to be able to cross off 2 things off of my list until I realized those jumbo craft sticks are actually from Walmart. So those are not ones you can get from the Dollar Tree. I would have to use a medium size or regular size craft stick. So I will have to include one more DIY to make sure I fit in with this whole challenge. Such a fun challenge. You know, we all got to pick 2 items, and this was actually the craft sticks were one of the items I picked, so I guess it's my own fault. Anyways, this is fun. So the last little piece here, I just had to trim down so that it will fit in there. And I'm trying to give the bottom of this tray kind of a shiplap look. So after I got them all pieced out and made sure that everything fits, I want to use that ivory color of Waverly chalk paint and go just on the top and a little bit on the sides. And just making sure to get all of those. Next, I wanted to distress them just a little bit, and it turned out my hazelnut was a little bit thicker than I thought. It's just about out, and I also used a little bit of mineral. But you just barely put any on this old brush and just rub it along the edges to give it just a tiny bit of a distressed look. And I just did this on each piece of those craft sticks. And then I'm just going to adhere these with some hot glue. So you just want to stack them back in there nice and tight against each other. Just tacking a little glue on each side. This was one of the last ones. I had painted both sides. And now that little extra piece here. Make sure this guy fits in there just right. Oh, I think I need to flip him around. There we go. Although it was cut right before, these picture frames aren't perfectly square, so that's just fine. Now, when you put the back on, I would suggest using something a little bit thicker. I went back after I was done and put another thicker piece of cardboard instead of this thinner backing, because you just want it to give it just a little bit of, make it a little bit tighter so it presses up against those boards. So there they are. Isn't that cute? Now I took some of the little wood blocks from the Dollar Tree and I painted those in ivory so that these could be the 4 little legs on my tray. It's neat that you can make a tray like this for, gosh, I don't know, it's under $2, right? All right, just get those in each of the corners. And you'll see in some of my displays why I decided to put a little bit thicker cardboard in the back. And just on each of those 4 corners to make sure it's nice and sturdy. And, you know, if you want it a little bit taller, you could double up the blocks. You could use a round bead. Again, you just want to personalize it and make this fit. Didn't that turn out cute? Just enough of a lift there. Okay, for this fun project, I took this cake pan, this mirror, and some tumbling tower blocks that I purchased all from the Dollar Tree. Next, I just took apart the mirror and took the tags off of everything. So I started out with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory and gave this frame a couple of coats. I just wanted to cover up all of the black. You could definitely distress this a little bit if you want to. I did not on this project. And I'm also going around the rim of this cake pan, just all the way around the outside. And it doesn't need to be a real thick coat. I am just making it so if anything peeks through. So I painted the tumbling tower blocks and the top of them and the sides and the front. Next, I'm taking some Gorilla Glue and some hot glue and putting it on the back of this mirror. And now it's on top of the cake pan. And I'm just covering up the mirror so that you don't have to sit and stare at my camera. So I just covered that up. And now these tumbling tower blocks are all dry. And I'm going to adhere them to the sides of the pan. I put those along the outside and a dot on the bottom and just line those up, and we're going to go all the way around. They won't fit perfectly side by side because we are going in a circular motion, but I really tried in the beginning and realized that later on. You can even at times adhere a couple of them together and move those and connect them at the same time. And you just have to kind of wiggle them around, and I did go from side to side, so I started all one way and then I turned it and then went from this side. That way, see, I did 2 of them there. That way, you know, you have it somewhat even, and then at the end you're able to kind of adjust them a little bit, as it won't fit perfectly for the 2, so you gotta kind of wiggle them around a little bit. But I love how this turned out. It's so boho and maybe even a little bit of a shiplap look to them, but you'll have to let me know what you think. All right, and here it is. You can kind of see the sides. I just love how this turned out. This is going to go with my little bit of a boho theme. Okay, so for the next project, I used a vegetable can, and then I just used a little bit of this raffia here and measured around it just to see how long it was. And then I just took these medium-sized craft sticks and went down because I knew then that they would fit around my can. And so again, this is that grass from the hula skirt that I will use, and I just used a stir stick at the bottom to line them all up. Now to make sure they stay in line, again, I'm taking some of that raffia or grass or whatever you want to call it from the hula skirt, and I'm just adhering each of these sticks to it so that they'll stay together. Instead of gluing these craft sticks one by one to that can, I'm just going to glue them this way, and then they'll fit around the can more easily. You could also use a piece of string or yarn, but this kind of matches the color in case it peeks through. You gotta pick up one of those hula skirts. I picked up the adult size because that will give you longer pieces, and it comes in so handy in so many projects. So I did one at the top, and I will do another one at the bottom. Super simple, right? Okay, so now we'll move it to our can and just kind of wiggle it around, making sure it fits right. And I'll just take the two ends. Well, actually, I'm going to put just a little bit of glue. I want to adhere it just on the one side there to make sure it stays straight. And now I'll just wrap it around and tie it down to the can. Just gave it a little bit of glue there so that it will stay in place. Then we'll just clip off those ends and they will disappear underneath those craft sticks. And then you just want to use a little bit of hot glue for any of those craft sticks that might start to pop off of the raffia. So just go around making sure it's all nice and secure. And then because the craft sticks are a little bit longer, I didn't want them sticking up so far up above, so I'm just putting 3 tumbling tower blocks on the bottom and then 4 of these little square blocks on the bottom as well. And this will just give it some feet so that it can stand up. So it keeps the height of the craft sticks, so you didn't have to clip them all down. I kind of liked the rounded edges. Now I'm taking 2 pieces of that raffia. I'm going to do just like I did on the vase, only I'm doing 2 for this one. I wanted them to match. So I just grabbed some of those beads and I took a light one and a dark one. And again, I'm taking an extra little piece of that raffia, and because I just wanted the tassels to be just a little bit longer. So after I twist this all together, I will put my 2 beads up on here. And just pull those straight. And then when I go to tie my knot, I leave it open just a little bit so that I can slip over. So I just go inside that loop that's there and just basically fold this in half. And because it's already in half again, I've got 4 extra pieces that will add to my tassel, and then I just pull that nice and tight. So now we will have 8 instead of just the 2, or actually the 4. Oh, doesn't that go nice? Puts them all together, you know, ties them together. Okay, so one of the challenge items was a rug, and I was excited to find these back in stock at one of my Dollar Trees. So these are just like little kitchen throw rugs. They're, about 2 feet long, I believe. So I decided I was going to make pillows out of them. And to do that, I'm cutting off the tassels on each side of them. I know you're going, what are you doing? That's what makes a pretty pillow. You will see. Because if I put those on top of each other, then you would just have the tassels sitting on top of each other and it would look funny. So I cut them off each side, and then I put right sides together, and this will be my back. So I'm going to just flip these tassels inside so that they will obviously be on the outside when I put right sides out. Now you don't have to pin it, but I definitely found pinning this down, because it is kind of bulky, made it easier to keep it in place. So here I'm just trying to decide how much I need to fold down so that it also fits what I cut off. So I just put 3 pins on each side to hold the tassels down. And I didn't pin this down on top of the other side. I just found that pinning those down did the job. That way I can move this around just a little bit as I go to glue. Now, you could definitely run this through your sewing machine if you're a sewer. I maybe was a little bit lazy here and didn't go get my sewing machine, but it worked out well. I also know Surebonder makes some sewing glue sticks, so that might be something to look for on their site. I am not sponsored by Surebonder. I just know that that might be a good resource for you. So I'm going to continue this all the way around. You might want to put some finger protectors on. These glue guns do get pretty warm. So I just continue this again all the way around. And I won't make you sit and watch it all because we don't want to put you to sleep. I hope you're enjoying this and have thought about subscribing and hitting the like button and hit the bell. That way, when I do these challenges, you'll know exactly when it's coming up. All right, so I've got it all done except for a little hole so that I can put my stuffing in. And here I just turn it right side out. And you know, if you buy one of the extra firm cheap pillows from Walmart, you get more stuffing in it than buying a bag of polyfill. And you already know it's good for a pillow, right? So you can pull it all apart so that it works easier. I was working more quickly, so I just kind of shoved it in there. But they often have those pillows for, just what, like $2.50? So it's a good deal. I've also seen other people take those pillows from Walmart and just kind of squish it and sew down the center and make 2 pillows that way. Here it is. So simple, right? For this project, you will want 2 wire baskets, 2 pillar candle holders, and a placemat. This one's a little bit plastic, rubbery, but I liked the pattern. So you will just line this up and trace around it wherever you like that pattern. And then we'll just cut that out, and we can use that circle also as a template for our next circle. That way we can set it right down and see where we want the next pattern. And it's pretty easy to cut. But does that look cute in the basket? Now that we have both of those all set, I'll use a little bit of this Elmer's spray adhesive and flip those over and just put a little bit of it on the bottom of those. Now, if you use this and you attach it right away, it has a permanent hold. If you spray it and let it dry, it will give you a temporary hold. So it's good for like stencils. There's your crafty hint. It doesn't have that permanent hold right away. So I just put a couple of the jars on top of that to let it adhere a little bit. Now I use some Gorilla Glue and some hot glue to attach this to the bottom of the basket. I should have attached the 2 pillar candles together beforehand, but I really thought I was only going to need 1. So I lived and learned, and you can learn from that mistake. And I will put a couple bottles of paint in here as well, just so it gives it some weight to attach to it, because that basket's pretty light. So here I'm going to attach the 2 pillar candles together. Again, using the same 2 glues. And just hold those in place for a moment till the hot glue can grab it. So once those glues set, you're going to flip this over inside the other basket. And there we are. It holds all my coffee pods for your coffee bar. I started off with 2 stove covers from the Dollar Tree, and I took the larger one and spray painted it a flat matte white. And I made this decal on my Cricut. I will have one for you that you can personalize the established and the family name. So that will be below in a free download. Now, you might be able to spot my typo here. Well, actually, it was during my weeding. I actually pulled out the T. So, oops. Anyways, I didn't notice it till I was about done, but I just peeled down the backing just a little bit at the top, smoothed that down. And I'm just going to continue to do that a little bit at a time since it's a larger label. All right, and I just continue to pull that back a little bit, and to save that 0 and the dot that came off, I'm just going to cut that off, and I like to cut off some of that excess as I go. And now I'm just giving this a good rub on the back to make sure the rest of this decal comes off properly. Usually it is not such a huge deal, but this decal was just super sticky. Maybe it's working with a circle, but I will have to try this again and make sure it goes just a little bit more smoothly. But I wanted to show this as it does go with that coffee bar. So just continuing to peel this all the way off here, and then I will be able to lay the decal down. So just taking it and rubbing it as I go here. And you can definitely use, your scraper to do this, but it was working okay just with my hand. And I just rubbed that down, made sure it was all smooth, and then just peeled up the corner, and that came off rather easily. And now I just want to put that T's a little bit crooked there. It didn't quite come off straight, so I'll do that. And I'll also add the dot after the EST for established. Stick that on there. And then I'll just stick that 0 on there as well. So just sliding under it. I do like these little tools. I love my Cricut, tool, but I also like these from the Dollar Tree because it's nice to have extras. When they're 2 for $1, you can't beat that. You have one skinnier one and one fatter one, so I really like to use those. And this is how it is so far. I'm taking some painter's tape and I'm just tucking it just under the lip that's on the side there so I can give it a little bit of an enameled look. I'm going to go around with my Posca acrylic paint pen. And I'll link those down below if you would like to use those. They work really well. They're always nice and wet and good and ready to go. Now don't forget also, if you're enjoying this video, to hit that bell and subscribe. That way you don't miss any of these videos. We can have little chats on my community area also, so you can let me know what you like, what you'd like to see. I just really want this, to be a little bit interactive. So if there's something you'd like me to do a DIY on, please feel free to share. You can always email me as well at craftyhints@gmail.com. So I just continued to move that piece of tape around and did that all the way around. And just touch up any little areas that you think might need it. And here we are. Here it is. Didn't that turn out nice? I do hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Take a look at these.